Okay, so it's time for the World Cup. It's always a fun time of year. I'm going to give you my thoughts about it and give you kind of a bit of a preview for this year's World Cup. Let's go. A World Cup is here every 4 years. I mean, I get so excited about it. I'm not a huge soccer fan. I won't get pretentious about football. I mean, I'm a casual fan, but I do enjoy watching the World Cup. I think it's one of the best events. I think that the Olympics are kind of 1 and 1A for the premier events, sporting events globally. And this year it's in Brazil, so you know it's gonna be hot and heavy. And I can't wait. I think this is gonna be one of the best World Cups we ever had, especially with the host nation being such a dominant power. So I'll go through the groups, give you my 2 picks who I think are going to go through each group, and give you a little, I guess, flavor or rationale why I picked these teams, or at least why I'm looking into these teams. So let me go into it. Got my notes here, so I might look down a few times. But in Group A, I have Brazil and the Cameroon actually getting through to the next round, and the reason why is Brazil's Brazil. I wouldn't even bother with that. It's obvious. I think Cameroon has a chance, and a lot of my picks you'll see are, I think the distance of travel in this case is going to be an issue, and I think the weather is going to be an issue. I think the heat and the mugginess is going to play a part in this World Cup. So I must admit, I am skewing more to the Southern Hemisphere countries. You could say countries are used to playing in heat. I like the Cameroon. I had Mexico in there as a possibility, but Mexico's been so flaky. It seems like, for the last year or so they haven't played well. They barely got into the World Cup. But I wouldn't be surprised if I saw them there as the second seed after Brazil. But I'm gonna stick with the Cameroon. My gut feels that I think the African nations are gonna break out a bit. I think you usually end up getting a couple that get through in the next round. I think I have 2 here. I think that I could see having a possibility to do so. So I think Brazil and Cameroon in Group A. In Group B, I think this one's pretty simple. I'm going Spain and Chile. I think Chile and Spain are the cream of the crop in that group in my mind. Group C, I would say Colombia, and I'm going to go with the Ivory Coast. I think Ivory Coast has played, I know sometimes they've been disappointing in tournaments. They play a lot of draws sometimes. Sometimes they have trouble scoring, which you see sometimes, unfortunately, you see with a lot of the African nations. They do have trouble, putting the ball in the net. But I think the Ivory Coast, I think, are going to break out in this tournament. And I think they have the right group to play in. It's not the strongest group in the world, but I think they have a chance to get to the next round here. Group D, Italy. As much as I hate to say it, to me, Italy is like the Dallas Cowboys of international soccer. They have a huge fan base. Obviously, they're one of the great soccer powers, in history. But I personally, they drive me crazy to watch. I don't know how someone can sit down there and watch them for 2 hours, pretty much play such negative soccer, like negative football. I can't take it. I mean, watching them just hold back like 10 guys pretty much all the time, and having one guy run down the field, maybe to try to create one scoring opportunity. They're almost playing for a draw almost all the time. That just infuriates me. So I have no problem when Italy loses in this case, because until they change their mentality when it comes to playing, I just can't support it, man. So, but I know they're going to be good enough to get through this group. I like them. Uruguay I like as well too. I definitely think the South American nations are going to play very well in this tournament. They're in climate and conditions they're used to. All these nations that are in South America played in Brazil plenty of times. I think Uruguay is going to be a team that's going to come out as the second seed in that Group D. And in this case, as far as England fans go, I'm sorry to say England. This goes back to my point. I think the heat is one problem. I think England also has a young team. I know England's never not made it past the first round. They always seem to find a way to get into that knockout round. But I don't see it this time. I think between the conditions on the pitch, the youth of the team, because they're in a bit of a transitional mode, I think all of that, and then of course the play of Uruguay, I think they're going to come out and represent. I think that combination, I think, takes England out, and I think that's the reason why I put them as the second seed in Group D. Group E, France, and it was a pick 'em after I got past France. I don't know. I mean, Honduras I was leaning that way because, as I said before, I'm going a lot of philosophy, a lot of southern hemisphere type of, or people, countries that have warm weather conditions that could play in this. But this time I went against the grain of this one and stuck with Switzerland. FIFA's got them ranked in the top 10. I mean, you gotta respect in the top 10 is a kind of a soft ranking for them. People, some people question if they should be in the top 10. But they are what they are, and if they are, I gotta give Switzerland the nod on this one. So France and Switzerland, Group E. Group F, I like, my squad, in this case, Argentina. I think Messi, who had poor showing last World Cup, I think he's gonna have a breakout tournament. I think he's gonna go crazy. I think they have the perfect setup too. I don't think there's any threat really in this Group F, and I think they're gonna be I think they're just going like 3-4 goals in some of these games. I think Argentina is gonna be easily the cream of the crop in this group, and Bosnia I never can pronounce this right. Bosnia Herzegovina is going to be the second seed. Once again, I really, I think they're the next best side in this group as well too. So I think that was Group F. With Group G, I like Germany and Portugal. I think it's a group of death. Some people say. I believe the USA has a chance maybe to get in. Depending on Ronaldo's injury. I know my friends from Ghana may say otherwise, as Ghana's knocked out USA like the last 2 times, but I don't see it happening a third time. It's hard to beat the same side 3 times in such a short time period. At least in an international sense, I think the US have been priming for this for a while, but I think Portugal, if Ronaldo's healthy, should get through. If they don't, I wouldn't be surprised if the Americans do get in as the next seed. And now for the final group of the tournament, Group H, I see here I have Belgium and I have Russia, and you're probably wondering, why I took both northern or European nations. I guess, well, if you want to count Russia as European nation. The reason why is both of them. First thing, Belgium I think is the cream of the crop easily. I think Belgium's in easily. I think Russia's got the pedigree and they're defensive, but I also think that. But this group is going to be playing mostly in the southern part of Brazil, which is much cooler. So I think it's advantageous for them. Dark horse here is South Korea. I heard a lot of people talking about South Korea. They've been coming on strong the last couple of years. They got some 6'5" dude who could be an issue defensively for folks once you're in the box for any sort of for any corners. So that could be an interesting thing to watch for this group. But I like Russia and I like Belgium. Belgium, Russia, 1-2. In this group. So as far as who I like going forward, I think let's put it this way. I think we don't know how mix and matching how everything's going to work out, but I like a South American team to be in the final. And honestly, I see Brazil or Argentina be in the final. I would not be surprised if we saw Brazil versus Argentina in the final if it worked out there on the opposite sides of the board. I would love that final. That'd be unreal. In Brazil, Argentina. I think if you're just a fan of soccer, I think you'll want that as the final. I think another possibility is Spain. They're a little older now, but they've still been like the dominant side for the last 4 or 5 years. You gotta still respect them. I think they're going to be in the mix somewhere there too. I think of all the European nations, I think they're the ones that have the chance to really go far, potentially win the tournament. You notice I have a few big names out of this year's tournament. I'm not sure if they'll make it or not, but like England, Holland, I think are going to struggle in this tournament. Holland's always found a way to choke first thing, even though I'm wearing orange. But I think when it's all said and done, I think some of these bigger name nations that we're used to seeing in the knockout round are not going to be there this year. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I think we're going to see a lot of new nations kind of stepping forward. So a lot of old powers coming back into relevancy in some ways, and I think it's going to be exciting play. So I'm looking forward to it tomorrow, and it starts on Thursday, June 12th. I'm sure every bar around your area as well as mine will be filled to the brim starting from tomorrow. So hey, have fun and enjoy your football. Later.